Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Navigating Mental Health Stigma. I'm Lisa, and again I have Alicia here. We are going to be working on World Mental Health Day today. There's a lot of things that you guys can do from home to celebrate, as with COVID it makes it very difficult to go out and do the usual things that we would do, but there is always another way. The World Federation for Mental Health founded World Mental Health Day in 1992, so that's literally like 28 years ago. It has not been around that long to celebrate World Mental Health. And the biggest thing with like mental health is that everybody has it, right? Like we have physical health, we have mental health, and I think if we can break that barrier with people and really teach them that mental health is like a day-to-day thing that we have to work on every day, just like our physical health, that maybe it could really help people accept that some people have a harder time or more struggles with mental health, such as anxiety, whereas other people might just experience anxiety like due to a certain situation.
Right. No, and like you said, the mental health and physical health should go one and the same. You know, you notice and can recognize when people are physically unhealthy or injured. It's a lot more obvious. But the mental health, like we were talking about earlier, even if there are signs, there are people we know who don't show signs,
Yes.
which is why it's even scarier and more important to be aware of the mental health as much as we are as our physical health. So it's important to keep your mental health just as much as in check as your physical health, like you said, every single day.
And I think it's so difficult to focus on what needs to be done for mental health because it's not things that we're taught in school. We're taught PE, like physical education, legit thing that we all learn every year in school from the time that we are super young. And we do sports and we do things for our physical health, not acknowledging that mental health needs to be worked on a day-to-day basis too. And we've discussed that, you know, working out and doing the physical exercises do help, but like little things to help your anxiety is very important too, which is another thing that we have discussed in the past. But noticing some signs for people is a lot harder because you said like we don't always talk about it, and some people are much more closed off about their mental health. I think when we first met each other, it's not like we were, hey, I have problems. Want to help
I've been through some crazy stuff, like.
But you know, the more we got to know each other, the more I opened up about it. And the more you opened up about your things, and I think we felt more comfortable to open up. But finding that group of people is so important. And I think the hardest part is seeing that some people's signs are that they're more closed off, you know?
Yeah.
Like, not because
and in our world, it's real easy to just keep that smile, you know, the world that we met each other in and that we spent a few years working with each other and doing all these shoots. We go to these environments where you're just like, oh yay, I'm so happy, everything's so great. And we just came from God knows what, or, you know, so we use that as an outlet too. And like you said, it's good for our mental health to recognize in whichever way, you know, just speaking to each other, because physically we both look totally fine,
right.
You know, and so it was just getting that vibe from each other, I think, and being able to just be comfortable and talk in a friendly manner, which led us to kind of open up and be there for each other as we have been as friends.
Yeah.
But it was hard. There was no way I would have known, like, oh, you know, you just don't think that. And I think the people we keep it at home type thing, you know, so no one thinks, I think they think we're like robots, you know, people who don't really know us, more of acquaintances or people who follow us and support us on social media. But in reality, it's like, well, we got just as crazy as lives as anyone else, you know, and stressful, which is why we have so much anxiety or go through times of like depression, just like anyone else, you know.
It's just, yeah, I mean, and everybody else has different levels of what they experience. And I remember back when all of mine started, I was kind of like thinking, I wish I had the easy route. You know, I wish that I could have been like my ex-boyfriend who's barely been through anything, and it's so like simple for him to just be positive all the time. And I really thought that way. Like, I wish I had his life, and I was super bummed about it and kind of jealous, you know? And now
Yeah.
I look back, and I kind of had a conversation with myself when I was going to my volunteer work last weekend. And it was like, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud that I've been through so much and that it's led me to this location now where I want to help people, and I want to end this stigma of mental health, because I was the kind of person who was super closed off. I was the person who would never talk about my feelings because of the family that I came from. And my friends, it was rare when they saw me cry. In fact, I think instead of seeing me cry, they would see me punch things or kick things.
Yeah.
It all came out in anger. And then when I was angry, I would cry. So it was like something flipped in my brain,
Yeah.
like adding up right. Um, so a lot of those friends have seen, you know, me grow up to really express these emotions to people. And I think because of all of these struggles that I've had to overcome to be emotionally supportive and emotionally okay to be emotional, like I'm
Right.
finally at that mental health location where I've accepted that if I'm going to cry, who cares who's going to judge me for it? Like, I need to let it out. And I really hope that with what I do now, I can help others who maybe like my child self, you know, really
Yeah.
speak up and be honest about how they feel.
Yeah. And I had, I'm grateful because I've always been able to share my emotions like with my family and stuff growing up. It's something we just don't hide from each other. And my emotional just shut off had come from my ex-husband, right? It's like, no, you must not ever cry. You must not ever not be happy. And so it becomes like you don't check in with yourself because you're just going with the flow and on autopilot to keep up this facade of like, yeah, everything's okay, because it has to be okay. You can't show those emotions or be emotional.
Yeah.
And it's so unhealthy, like how we were talking about. I would keep myself in such physically good shape. And when I started not checking in on myself mentally, my physical health went way like just nuts and crazy too. And people don't realize they go one and the same with each other in that aspect too, right? Like stress can cause leisures and just all kinds of really bad problems. And my health was terrible when I was like living this double life of, oh, everything's fine, I'm totally okay. And then, my health was the worst it was ever. I had gained so much weight. My endo stuff was going nuts. Treatment wasn't working, and it's because I also was dealing with all this mental stress that I was not addressing and not fixing my toxic environment, which causes so much of our mental stress. Even you moving out and of your terrible living situation with your old roommates. You can't be in an environment where all these things are triggering so many of our already, problems that we're trying to solve or
Right.
heal, like our stress and anxiety and depression. We can't be around people who are going to just make it worse.
And you shouldn't have to deal with people who are going to make it worse. Like, honestly, if there's toxic people in your life, you need to remove them. It's so important to get rid of the toxic people from your life. And those toxic people may not be toxic to other people. Like, we're all toxic to somebody. There's somebody in this world that we're not going to mesh well with together, and we will be toxic to them. And
Right.
that's why I know, like, my old living situation was very toxic, but it wasn't just toxic for me. It was
Right.
for everybody in that house. It was just bad. And so all of us leaving that situation was so much better for all of our mental and physical health, especially because all of us were struggling with some sort of mental health issue. Like, just like, let's pile it on. And I know at the beginning it didn't seem that way. At the beginning we all got along really well, but you're right that if we don't work on our mental health, our physical health declines. And it's
quickly.
so true, because I got 7 kidney stones, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many, I can't tell you how many times I've been sick since my mental health has declined. And my mom and I were talking about that earlier. And it was back in 2016 when my brother passed. And then I would get sick all the time, like over random shit. Like, my immune system sucks. And I think that's why COVID has been like so nerve-wracking to me. And I know you know that it's nerve-wracking to me. Because when we went to the BLM thing, I was just like, dude, I'm worried that I could get sick because my immune system sucks.
Sure.
Granted,
we were safe. We were questioned.
You know, I mean, everybody there was super safe, which was really good. Not what they were showing on TV, but but yeah, it definitely is so important to work on your mental health to keep your physical health. And I don't just mean physical as in like muscle shape or whatever. It means like literally your insides. Everything inside of you can be affected by mental health. I have stomach issues, intestinal issues, kidney issues, and it's all because my mental health started declining in 2016. So now that I'm working on my mental health, I definitely feel physically healthier. Like, I have no more kidney stones. I passed all 7, so yeah.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. I did it. But I mean, my diet is completely different. My diet is what works with me.
Right.
But every day I work a little bit on my mental health. Like, if I'm super stressed, I have been doing stretches and some working out in my room because I have such a small space. But I was like, yeah, I can kind of make it work on my like ottoman at the end of the bed. So
yeah,
I've been using my ottoman to like do my like workouts.
You can do wall stretches, right? Like, you can find all kinds of YouTube videos. People are so creative, and we have the internet just at the tip of our fingers to be able to do all of these things at home. You know, you just got to get a little creative.
For
no,
sure.
but it's true.
No, you do. I was just like, I have to find a way of working out because I feel like I need some other outlet. And I rode my motorcycle. I rode my BMX bike the other day. Like, my little brother, I guess, has been fixing up my old BMX bike. I have a BMX bike from when I was like a kid. Like,
how cute.
Literally my first like BMX bike that was given to me as a Christmas present from my grandfather. And it's before that I would always get my brother's hand-me-downs because I was second oldest. So whatever my so I got this dyno forever ago, and then Kevin's been like slowly fixing it up over the years and putting little things of different colors on. So like all of our favorite colors are on the bike. So my favorite color is orange. Jeff's is blue, Mike's is red, and mine is green. So there's little accent things of each color, and he's just been totally fixing it up. So he like surprised me the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, what? And I just started riding around. Like, it was so fun, and I'm going, this is what I need. So I think I'm gonna start doing more of that to work on my mental health.
No, and that's, first of all, it's so thoughtful. It's so sweet, huh? Dude, but it is, and maybe you're a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, right? Like I am. A lot of when I was dealing with some of the worst stress, I would always try to find an outlet to feel better, right? So that's when I started snowboarding. I went skydiving, and then I started working out, and because I had gained all that weight, and I was like, no, I'm not going to be like this anymore. Because when you're not, and like you said, it's not about like being buff or looking a certain way. If you can't look in the mirror and be happy about what you see, you're going to have some mental health thing where, problems that you need to check in on.
Right.
Like, the biggest thing is, and we've probably both been through that, where we've just had our points in lives where we look in the mirror, we're not happy with ourselves, and you have to make a decision, whether it be mentally not healthy or physically not healthy, to do the things necessary to change that. And it takes so much work. And some people have asked me, and thankfully we stay in contact all the time, so we've seen each other grow. But some people have seen me from these gaps of like when I was this crazy young going through all this crazy stuff to who I am now, like you were saying earlier. And it's just, it took a lot of work to remove these certain things or change our environment to do that, but it's the same thing as physical workout. You don't just run one day and become fit and lose all this weight or whatever you want to do while you work out. It takes work. It takes everyday intentional hard work.
I was actually calling myself a fatty earlier because I, for once in my life, do not have abs. Like, I've had abs since I was a kid. Like, I don't know how long I've had abs. Like, they've been a part of my life forever. And I used to do like 300 crunches a day, and I would hold my freaking ankles 2 inches from the ground for like 3 minutes. Like,
forever.
I mean, you've seen them, but
no,
I no longer have that. Like, I actually have like fat I can grab on my stomach. And my mom was just going, she's like, you're not fat, like, hello. And because my whole family is a lot bigger than I am. I'm like, but Mom, I've spent my entire life having abs, and I, for once, do not have them because of my kidney stones.
Yeah.
I did not work out. And now, too, I could feel it. So when I had the stones in my kidneys, and I would start to do crunches, it would make me feel like throwing up because it would hurt so bad. So now that they're gone, I'm like, I need to start doing them again. But I think
get into it, like,
paranoid that what happens if I get another kidney stone? That shit's gonna hurt.
No, it's scary. But see, and that's the thing, like we're talking about too, you've adjusted so much of your food habits and all kinds of stuff because of your physical issues that you got to deal with.
There's cool things that you can buy online if you want to spend money to donate money to mental health awareness, which I think is kind of cool. I'm actually probably going to do that because they have pamphlets. It says .uk, so I think it's like, the World Federation for Mental Health, it was like in the United Kingdom, or is in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
But I seriously want to buy the pamphlets and check them out because it's like handling mental health with like family members or friends, or handling it with yourself, things that you can do to help yourself. And I'm like, that's freaking awesome. So I actually really, really think I'm going to buy a pamphlet.
Yeah, to have it just kind of as a reference too, you have different conversations with your loved ones all the time. It's like, ooh.
I mean, this is a huge part of our life now, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because I really feel like I get a lot of thank yous from friends, and I have a lot more people opening up to me that they struggle daily, and they're not afraid to talk to me about it anymore because I've opened up. So it's super awesome. Like, I would love to know more on how to deal with it, even though I'm not a professional. I would just like to know better ways of handling it when people are talking to me. Or
just in our everyday lives, and it shows respect for the people you have in your lives. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, like you care, and you're trying to figure out what's going on about, with it. A lot of people in my life, like, they have no idea what the endo stuff is, but they ask instead of just like, oh, sucks for you type thing. Like, I've sat here and had conversations about you about that stuff and vice versa or whatever. But no, it's necessary to learn about people and how to interact with people every day, so that way we have these good relationships and no one's all stressed out and having these problems. And I mean, we can't read each other's minds either.
I think that's like the best part about this year's theme being mental health for all, is because they're trying to end the stigma of mental health, just like we're trying to end the stigma of mental health every episode. They're really trying to show that mental health is so, so, so important, and that we need to work on it on a day-to-day basis. And I love that. I just think it's such a good concept for this year.
It is. It's so intentional,
Yeah.
to be aware of yourself and to be aware of others. And it makes such a world of difference for everyone, even like you said, for your own sake.
Yeah.
The doubt and the questioning, everyone just needs to be a little bit more open. We wouldn't have all these worries and I'm such a, oh, what if, and I mean, we just don't know. Like, if someone doesn't like what you have to say, like, too bad for them.
Just come out and say it. Honestly, the right people will stick around.
Yeah.
I think the more that we talk about it, the more that other people are going to open up about it, and the more that people who don't understand will probably take the time to finally understand and learn how to listen. Because when we're going through our struggles, we don't want somebody to tell us like, oh, you're going to be okay. Like, we like to hear that everything will eventually be okay, but it also feels like you're disregarding my current emotion when people are just like, oh, you're going to be fine,
Yeah, blowing it off, kind of.
Yeah, or it'll get easier with time. And I know that these sentences are all sentences meant to be helpful, but when you break an arm, it takes so much time for it to heal. And it's so obvious that it's there. But when you like break your heart, people don't see that, and people just expect you to get over it often. And it's not something you just get over. It takes time to heal. And when your brain is struggling with something, it takes time to fix it and heal it. And that is something that I think people could utilize to think about when they're talking to a friend that is struggling with mental health.
No, it's true. And that's the thing, like you said, we don't listen or think enough. And it goes back to, like, people don't put or try to put themselves in someone else's shoes, which is why people are so judgmental and rude or bully or whatever. It's their own problem. And it's like, you just need to worry about you and your own problems that you've got going on first. Let them worry about them, and that took a lot for me too.
Yeah.
A lot for me to not worry about, and I still worry about what people think sometimes, right? But again, it's intentional everyday work. You got to do the work physically and mentally to make sure your all-around health is allowing you to function every day and do the things we need to do to be happy.
Yeah.
Successful, you know what I mean?
Even just talking to each other through Zoom. I think right now with COVID, everything is so difficult. There's so many lockdowns in so many countries, and there's so many things happening worldwide because of COVID that it's making hanging out with friends and communicating and getting out of the house and getting some vitamin D, like all these good positive things that make your mental health and your physical health better. It's harder for us to do right now. So you have to be creative. Like you said, you have to be creative. There's a creative way to communicate with friends. And I think the first thing that happened when COVID happened was all three of us, you, Michelle, and I, were supposed to hang out. COVID happened. And then it was just like, well, we could Zoom call. And it became this habit where we were just calling each other and talking about our crazy lives.
And we probably see each other more than before because we physically couldn't go and just, drive and meet up. We didn't live together or something. So it's also helped in that sense to where it still feels like we get to see each other, if not even more. You
lived like an hour away from where I lived.
Right.
And then Michelle lived like another hour from where you lived. You know what I mean? So for all
Yeah,
of
we would only see each other when we would meet up for our shows or our shoots, and then keep in touch, in between. But no, I still have a hard time using Zoom. I didn't even know what it was. Like, I mean, obviously, Skype was a huge thing, and then Zoom became the best new thing when COVID happened. Still can't figure it out.
I was like, honestly, it's cheaper than Skype.
Yeah,
I
I
like
have no problem with it. It works great. I use it for work too. It's super easy to navigate and use, and that's probably why. I mean, it's just there's new stuff. Skype has been around forever. I'm sure it's not going anywhere. There are people who still use it.
Oh yeah, we still have it for like our work computers and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's definitely still a thing and it's still there, but I don't know. And then you can do Google Hangouts too. So there's so many ways to keep in touch with friends and family. And I think people had gotten so overwhelmed with the fact that they were stuck inside that they didn't try to think of new ways, you know?
To
Whereas
not be
all of us
alone.
are just immediately like, oh my God, what we need to do is have video calls with each other so we can feel like we're getting like our weekly dose of friendship, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it makes it a lot less lonely. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're not alone, but I can talk to you differently the way I talk to like my parents or something,
Right.
So yeah, this is like our free time. This is my, you know,
You're
me time, vent. It's like, but you have to, and it's so healthy. And I think I know it's made me, helped me a lot to be able to talk to like you and Michelle and other people. We all have other people we're thankful for and able to talk to in this sort of manner. But it's made me make better decisions. I feel a lot less crazy. I still have my moment,
yeah.
but I can't remember, like, I haven't had a panic attack, thank God, in years.
I was
Ever,
for years.
yeah, like, sincerely, ever since I got my divorce, I've not had one panic attack. And I still have a lot of anxiety and stress and other stuff that I deal with after that, but it's a different type, right? Like you said, I've removed myself from that life, from that person. I've grown into a whole different person, mentally, physically, whatnot. And it's a way happier, easier life. Like, we don't have an easy button, but it's the closest thing we can get to one by checking our mental and physical health.
It's like you're learning and you're growing, which is why
Yeah.
life can be so difficult. But I feel like like I'm telling you, when I had that like conversation with myself the other day, telling myself I'm so proud of me, like
Yeah,
there's those moments where it's like, oh, all of these things really happened to turn me into this.
exactly.
I can't be mad at that. Like, I mean,
No.
I still hurt, obviously, but I'm, they'd be proud of me too. Every single person I've lost would be so proud of what I'm doing today.
Yeah, and it's because you've embraced all of the things you've had to go through instead of bottling them up, brushing them under the rug, blowing them off. You've actually have gone through them and have figured your way out to deal with them, not to just get rid of them because that's unreal. It doesn't happen,
No.
So you've done an amazing job.
I mean, it's a,
Even now, yeah, it's like I said, it's tough. Every day is tough.
that's why I feel like when my friends lose people in their lives, I never expect them to talk about it right away.
No, I mean, and
I'm here
that's
when you're ready. That's literally what I tell them. I am here when you're ready to talk. And whenever that is, you let me know. We will get on a phone call. We will Zoom. We will FaceTime. We will do whatever we need to do. And we will talk and you can cry. And I will virtually hug you and listen
yeah,
to every word that you have to tell me because you do not want to hold it in forever. It's only
no,
to destroy you.
right. And that's why people explode and have these kind of like rock bottom breakdowns. And I mean, I've been there.
Yeah, we're both like,
oh yeah, you know, we all have that crazy side that maybe we don't need to come out, you know. Like, yeah, maybe we gotta find out what's making that crazy come out and get rid of it, you know.
Yeah, but we had to learn the hard way, and a lot of people do have to learn the hard way. But I think if schools took it upon themselves to teach mental health at a younger age, and that mental health is normal, like it is with physical health, I honestly think it could change so many things.
Yeah, and that's why we still have to deal with things like bullying in school and all this other stuff. But no, hopefully it'll change, and everyone that's doing stuff like this and the whole, you know, World Mental Health Day, it does make a little bit of a difference. It's all ripple effects, right? It all helps. It reaches someone, touches people, and so it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, you even brought up earlier that you could just use the hashtag mental health awareness, right? If you're outdoor hiking or you're doing something great, yeah, that makes you feel happy.
You use mental health matters a lot, and I love mental health matters. It's like super awesome. And then like on World Mental Health Day, obviously, hashtag World Mental Health Day, just the little hashtags, because social media is such a huge thing, makes such a huge difference, because
Yeah,
people that are a part of that community that are really trying to find others to talk about their struggles with on a day-to-day basis, they can find people in that community and open up.
right. It's a great resource to be able to search, and this is why, like you said, we use the hashtags. It specifies, come here. There is information about what you need right here. There are people here for you. So yeah, use the hashtags. Use them for all other crazy stuff. It's like,
There's so
use one that matters.
yeah, and then so with World Mental Health Day, they do the free screenings for mental health.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure in every city and where, but I will attempt to find some general location where people can search, and I'll post that in the comments for everybody, so that way if they want to go get a mental health screening, go get it. A lot of people, I mean, you can't, a lot of people need to go through therapy to figure out what their mental health is,
Right.
especially if it's not a constant struggle. So
Right.
with me, I found out obviously my PTSD was a major thing that started when I was younger, and still struggle with it today. I'm probably going to struggle with PTSD the rest of my life. I do not have depression, which is awesome. I mean, I was super worried I had depression because of everything that I've been through, and the fact that I had attempted to commit suicide at one point. But I do suffer from anxiety, which explains the brain and so many things. And the grief is what makes me feel so depressed sometimes, but it's a portion of my life that it'll be harder now and a little bit easier later. And it's not even that it's going to be easier later, it's just my body and my mind will adjust to what I have experienced and what I experience daily to really make it easier for me to handle, because that's what we do, we evolve. So it's part of my evolution dealing with grief, and I'm happy to know that I don't suffer from depression, but also learning to still cope with anxiety, PTSD, and grief. It's a lot.
It is. And there are many things that we go through life and will go through that will bring on these types of struggles.
Yeah.
So, like you said, even though it isn't chronic, real life will bring them on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so people who really don't even have any struggles to begin with could have anxiety attacks or some PTSD or grief or anything, depending on what's going on in their life at that very moment. So it would just be specified to that situation.
Exactly.
And going through therapy really narrows down what it is that you struggle with on a day-to-day basis, if you even struggle with anything. So I think it's
right. You gotta get to the root of
mental health test to start somewhere. But if you really feel like you need to talk to somebody, I definitely recommend that.
yeah, you gotta get to the root of it to be able to work through it.
Yeah. And you can't really get that without getting help.
No.
And it's okay to ask for help. That's part of what, mental health day is all about, right? So
don't be embarrassed. There's no need to.
and if you have friends that struggle, I think that is a great day to reach out to them and just check in and let them know that you're there for them, and if they ever want to talk, that you're ready to listen.
Right.
You don't have to give advice, like, ever. You're not professional. But
yeah.
Listen, give them a shoulder to cry on, tell them that their feelings are valid and that it's okay for them to cry and that you're just there to care.
Yeah. People need to remember they're not alone. Don't ever feel like you're alone. There's someone who will be there for you.
Just like you and me.
No shame. No shame in my game.
Oh my God, I love that. No shame in my game. Girl, what game? What game you got? Happy World Mental Health Day, everybody. And please check in on those that struggle. If there's somebody that you think might be struggling because they're a lot more quiet, check in on them as well. Let them know if they ever want to talk or open up, that you're there, or even just try opening up to them about something in your life, and that might make them open that door to feel comfortable enough to open up with you. It's little tiny steps that make the biggest difference. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day.